Hi, everybody. My name is Caleb Ward. I am the programming manager for Late Night, and I am here with Ravi Singh and Madhulika Krishnan, the creators and actor in Doing the Robot. Say hey, guys. Say hello to
Hey,
Hey
all of
guys.
all of the
hey,
internet.
audience.
It's the whole internet. It's the
Hey,
entire
virtual
internet.
world. Hey, internet.
Wow, hey
Brought them all
world.
here, so no
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much, first of all, for being a part of Late Night. I love the pilot. It's so fun. I just kind of want to launch right into it, as far as like where the idea came from this and sort of what the impetus for Doing the Robot really was. Ravi, that's, I guess, for you.
Yeah, glad you enjoyed it. I was taking comedy writing classes at UCB Theater in New York City. At the time, I still am a lawyer, and I wanted to do something fun on the weekends. I was taking acting classes, both on stage and on camera, and then also writing. I realized that I wasn't a professional in the industry. I didn't go to school for it formally. It wasn't my full-time job. So I wanted to develop as many skills as I could. In the final UCB comedy writing class, there's levels. There's 101 to 301. One of the sketches that I made was called Doing the Robot. I don't remember exactly where I got the idea from, to be honest. All I remember is that I thought it would be funny if there was a sex robot that couldn't actually have sex. That was basically the game of the sketch. So I wrote it out, went through multiple workshops with some of my classmates, and ultimately it was one of the class's favorite sketches. So what happens sometimes in these classes is you take the class and you can perform it. This wasn't the sketch that was actually performed. I did
Mhm.
another one called The Oracle of Pelham Parkway, and it was about a subway teller that tells subway fortunes. That one's really funny too. But the pandemic happened, and I was like, this sketch is so funny. Let me figure out how to make it. I appeared on Indian Matchmaking on Netflix, so I had this kind of new audience, and I said, well, let me try to create my content and give this stuff to my new audience. So in August, I reached out to some animation companies and began the process of creating it.
Awesome. So you're not an animator yourself. You worked with a team to sort of put it together.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I am not an animator either. I cannot draw. My stick figures all look like contorted and one arm longer than the other. So
Yeah.
I'm always impressed by animation. We actually have a pretty a decent amount of animation in Late Night this year. And I feel like it's because of the pandemic. A lot of people shifted. They're like, okay, we can't do a lot of like in-person shooting. Like it's, shifting to animation. I feel like Doing the Robot works almost better and obviously I've only seen it
Hmm.
as being animated,
Hmm.
but I feel like it leans itself to sort of like further exploration. There's so much you could do, and the thing that I really enjoy the most about it is it's instantly relatable, and I think
Hmm.
that's what good comedy is it's instantly relatable. It's like you don't have to like explain the rules of the
Hmm.
world. It's like
Hmm.
we all get it, and you don't have to like as soon as like the first bit being like, the ads she has to skip through just to get to like something. It's like they put ads on porn nowadays,
Right,
it's like
right.
the same thing.
Hmm.
um that's just what I've heard they put ads on porn. I wouldn't know. And so yeah. Madhulika, tell me a little bit about sort of how you got involved and working with Ravi. And oh no, did my thing freeze? Oh no, you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. So when he was casting it, he posted a breakdown on Backstage, and it kind of had pretty much what it was about.
sure.
And it was like kind of like an open call, and he had people read for it. And I've always seen like AI in a very dark, apocalyptic, like dramatic way. And this
Yeah,
was just so funny and like
right.
every day, like how you interact with Siri, like, like you said, like really relatable. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I have to read this. And I just read for it. I did it. I just recorded it the first time on my phone, and I had so much fun with it. I did like a couple different takes, and I remember just always like remembering, like as weeks went on, And I just kept remembering the script. So I like reached out and like, hey, I'm not sure if you cast this yet. And like just letting you know I'm like really into this. And then eventually it worked out and he was
Got
like,
it. So you played really hard to get is what you're saying.
really hard to get. Totally, it was
You,
not
like,
even
change your
in
number,
the-
change your email. You're like, oh, I'm not really an actress anymore. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
moving on. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a
So
painter now.
a
Yeah.
plug
Wait,
for
wait till I get
Medulica,
back.
a plug for her is that I got hundreds and like over 500 applications, and
Jeez.
there were many people who wanted to play Priya, and I listened to like a lot of, like, I spent a lot of time just listening to all of them.
Mhm.
And she really like beat out the competition. And the fact that she happens to be a South Asian woman for a South Asian character was perfect for me. So she was extremely talented, and it was really great because this is the first time I was really introduced to voice acting, and the nuances of accents and dialects and who speaks and how accents and dialects get preserved through culture and art. And so I was really proud to be able to get her on board because she's also she's also an actor as well. So she's like truly versatile, and I'm so impressed by what she did.
Yeah, I think being able to add to that diversity is so important when the history of animation is really whitewashed when it comes to not only representation on screen, but also representation in the voice. It's like most South Asian or even some Black characters are have been voiced by white actors, and so that shift I think is really really important, and that's really commendable that you're able to add to that conversation. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Madhulika, do you feel a special connection to Priya? Do you feel like you can relate to the
Oh my
struggle
God.
that, that she's going through?
Absolutely.
You ever had a robot just like fully give out on you, even just like a
I
vacuum?
feel like that exact thing
Right.
happened to me in a different life. Like that is something that like things
Right.
always go wrong. That's also why I love comedy, because I feel like my life is kind of like there's so many things. So it was just so easy for me to like play that. Not
Yeah.
saying that I mean, the comedy, like he wrote it so well
Sure.
too, that it just gave into
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
a lot
but
of
like
great.
comedy's only like half the writing, it all comes down to
Right.
performance as well. And I just feel like you nailed it. And I feel like to the common man or someone who's not familiar with like voiceover work or voice acting work would be like, oh, that's so easy. You just sit in a booth. But it's like, it's really not, because you don't get to emote with your face. It's you're having to emote
Right.
with your voice. And so I was wondering, have you done this before? Was this your first foray? Is this something you'd like to continue to do?
So I have primarily done on-camera work, but I have done voiceover in the past. I love voiceover, just because it's kind of great in a way where you're not kind of worried about being physically like like looking good, I guess. But it's great because I really just, in my mind, I just dive into the story and I think about how I'm feeling, and that is what comes through the most, which I like. I feel like it's more real in that way, because you have to be in it to be able to sound and act the way that you should. Like you just have
Absolutely.
to be more in the story than like when you're in talking to another character on camera. It's more about kind of your surroundings and the world and what's going on, but the conversation is actually, you find it's more important in voiceover.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't really have someone necessarily, you don't always necessarily have someone to bounce off of with,
Correct.
like you would on stage or, on TV
Yeah.
or film and TV. So,
Yeah,
well, that's wonderful.
to jump on that, it was hard because none of the actors really got a chance to meet each other. So we had a table read virtually. And then what I didn't realize, because this is my first foray into something like this, is that you also have to figure out a way to provide adjustments to the voice actors. And you only get a certain number of takes for them. It takes, like, they need to sit down there and record the lines, and they're busy people. So I had to go through like different versions of the same line from the actors and really give them adjustments for each and every kind of sentence. And
Mhm.
thankfully they were very good at what they did. Otherwise I could easily see it being very challenging for something like that. And I
Yeah.
just lost my screen, but yeah.
Well, we can still see you. So
Oh, okay.
just keep talking.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, that was
Yeah.
challenging for someone who doesn't like do this
Right.
to just figure out, okay, I like this version of it, and then this one, and then to be able to put that all together. Because with comedy, that makes it so challenging is you have to get the comedic timing right.
Yeah.
Like all these jokes, if you don't get the comedic timing right,
Yeah, they're gonna
it's
fall
hard.
flat.
So what we had to do was take all of their different takes and then try to work with the animators to make sure that the timing with where the jokes were all synced up.
Oh, wonderful. I think you did an excellent job. So where does this go from here? Are you thinking about further, developing this into like a web series or something like that?
Yeah, so I submitted a full pitch deck, and the full premise and the full premise and log line of the show is that it's set in the 2100s, and an average looking single Indian American woman named Priya is a garbage picker, and she also helps recycle scraps for a living. She gets dumped by her her ex-boyfriend, who is a robot divorce lawyer, and she returns to work where a sex android begs not to end up in the recycling bin, and so she feels lonely after her breakup, takes him home, and then reassembles him. She realizes he can't actually have sex with her, but he has extremely good emotional intelligence, and he's very smart. So she uses him as a tool to improve her status and try to win her ex-boyfriend back. So it's a bit of a mix between Cinderella and Frankenstein, in that rather than Cinderella relying on Prince Charming to get her out of poverty, she takes the robot and gets herself out of poverty. But this robot, because he has these emotions and he's a little different, he has some toxic traits that she learns about throughout the show. So that's what we came up with. There's a fairy god robot that grants her some of her wishes. She has a pet kangaroo with a pouch that collects some of her scraps.
Standard pet.
And yeah, so we built a whole universe around it.
I love it. That's amazing. Well, I can't wait to see more of it. Guys, thank you so much for being here and being a part of Late Night. Wish it was in person, but maybe next year. And we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.